Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are returning. My name is Missy Renee. I am a mindset and manifestation coach, and this channel is all about helping you to manifest the best life ever. And today I want to talk about testing the law and putting this to the test for yourself so that you can begin to build your faith as a conscious manifester. So if manifestation and conscious creation are topics that you are interested in learning more about, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you're notified when I release new videos every week. If you enjoy this content and you want to help my channel, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and give this video a like. This will help to boost this video to a wider audience so that more people can get this really helpful information. If you are interested in checking out any of my resources, such as one-on-one coaching, my workshops, or my new group coaching program, I've got information to all of that down in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. And this video has been requested many times, and it's long past overdue that I've made a new video kind of updating and talking more about putting this to the test. One of the most important things that you can do in order to have more faith in yourself as a conscious creator is to be constantly testing the law. One of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, that people struggle with this is due to a lot of doubt and a lot of double-mindedness. It's really easy to fall back into our old conditioning and getting sucked into the 3D and having logic and reason take over and try to scare us out of what we are trying to manifest. And one of the last things that we want to do is become double-minded or be back and forth on what it is we're trying to manifest. We don't want to spend one moment in that state of the wish fulfilled and then a moment later racked with doubt and uncertainty. This is a surefire way to keep the manifestation at bay. It's a surefire way to create a time lag, so to speak. So to combat this and get rid of that doubt and have more confidence in ourselves, we need to be putting this to the test. We need to be showing ourselves and proving to ourselves that this is in fact what we are actually doing in every moment of our day. And most importantly for me, I want you guys to know this on a deep level and not just take my word for it. I don't want anybody watching this to just blindly take my word for this. That goes for anyone, in fact. Don't take anybody's word for this. The best way that we can begin to incorporate the law in our lifestyle and be confident in ourselves as manifestors, as conscious manifestors, is to have faith that what we imagine, in fact, does become a reality. And the way to have that faith, the way to build that faith, is to experience this and really begin to live it ourselves. Because it's one thing to watch videos and have an understanding of the knowledge, have an understanding of how this works, and it's another thing entirely if you actually put this to experience, if you actually, in fact, see with your own eyes that you are, in fact, a powerful manifester. That is going to take you light years further than any YouTube video or blog post or Reddit forum can take you. So for that sake, I want to help you guys put this to the test and begin to show yourselves what you are actually capable of. So how do we go about doing this? How do we go about actually testing the law? Well, the most common way that people have learned how to test the law is essentially writing a list of 5 to 10 different things, small things, so to speak, that you would like to see come to pass. So for example, a free cup of coffee is a very common one. It could be a phone call or a message from somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. It could be seeing a bright pink jet or airliner. It could be anything. We can get completely creative with these items or things that we want to see come to pass. And I've actually made a video talking about this list method. And if you have not heard of this before and you're interested in learning more about it, you can definitely check out the video I made. I'll leave that guy up here. and I'll also have them down in the description box below. This method is designed to be a no pressure way to begin to test the law and prove this to yourselves. And for many people, they do find a lot of success with this. But one of the things that I've had people tell me, and something that people have run into, is that in the back of the mind, there's a knowing that they're doing this to try to prove something to themselves. They're doing this because they need to see it in order to believe it. And this is opposite of what we want to do when it comes to the law. And consciously or unconsciously, they begin to look around for signs of their manifestations. They begin to try to look or become aware of what they have written down and what they have intended to have come to pass. So therein, it becomes a lot of pressure, and it becomes a lot of stress and anxiety for something that should be effortless. And these are the exact things that we want to avoid. We want to avoid anything that could potentially make us feel like we're trying to do something or prove something, or that we need to make something happen, or else it's not going to happen. And then we quickly lose faith, and we quickly begin to doubt ourselves if what we have intended does not come to pass. Though there is no attachment to those small things themselves, there is an attachment to the idea as a whole. And the idea of needing to prove to yourself that this is real becomes a very big thing. And if we don't successfully prove it to ourselves, we begin to feel like failures, and on it goes. So for some people, this defeats the purpose a little bit. And again, this is nothing against this method. I use this method with a lot of success. And this method was in fact one that helped me immensely when it came to building my trust and faith in the law. So for those of you that have struggled with this pressure or trepidation with your manifestations, your small manifestations, here's a strategy to help you better take some of that pressure off. Here is a no pressure, no effort way to really begin to put this to the test. For 1 week, I want you to not try and manifest anything at all. For the sake of testing this, we're not going to try to do anything. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me. Instead of trying to set intentions or do any techniques, I just want you to do 2 things. Pay attention to the thoughts that you have that naturally arise, and pay attention to the actual events and circumstances in your life. I want you to carefully observe all of the internal thoughts, your feelings, moods, reactions, everything that's going on within you internally, all of your internal dialogue. Pay close attention to all the things going on the inside. And then I also want you to observe everything that is showing up on the outside, all of the events, the circumstance, the people that you meet, the interactions that you have. I want you to pay close attention to these 2 worlds. And if the law is in fact real, what you should begin to notice is there's correlations, there's connections between these 2. You should begin to note that the random thoughts and the moods and the reactions and all of the internal world start showing up in random ways on the outside. And anytime you notice something that was going on internally became an external observation, I want you to document it. I want you to either write it down or take out your phone and create a voice memo. Whatever way you want to record it is fine, but I want you to document each time you see something on the outside that correlates to something that you had going on internally. It doesn't matter how random, it doesn't matter how small and insignificant. If you see something on the outside that correlates to something that you had noticed internally, take note of that. And what you're going to find is all of these random thoughts or things that you had been mulling over begin to actually materialize on the outside. And these can be totally random. For example, you might have a craving for pizza one day. You might have an odd thought pop up in your mind about wanting pizza. And then a day or 2 later, somebody at work brings pizza into the break room. It could be a song that you have pop in your head, show up on the radio, or you hear it somewhere as you're out and about. However random, however big or small, I want you to take note of these. Now, I know at face value, these small random things can be easily chalked up to coincidence. And that's typically what we've always done. But here's the thing. Maybe the first dozen or so times you can chalk to coincidence, but after 2 or 3 dozen times, or however many times that you begin to notice this, it just comes down to odds and statistics. I mean, what are the actual odds that so many things that you had internalized started to actually show up on the outside? The more that you begin to carefully observe the internal world versus the external world and pay close note and close attention, you're gonna begin to naturally put the pieces together yourself. And after so many times of chalking it up to coincidence, it's just gonna be outside the odds and statistics. Because every time you notice something on the outside that you had noticed first on the inside, those odds are gonna get smaller and smaller until eventually you're not gonna be able to just chalk it up to coincidence. And the last point, and really important one to note, is every time you notice something on the outside that you had observed on the inside, anytime you see a connection, I want you to write it down. I want you to document it. Whether that's writing it in a journal or just whipping out your phone and making a voice memo, make sure you document these. Because if you don't, it's really, really likely and easy to forget, which will leave you more likely to wind up going back into that state of doubting yourself. Document everything that you notice, however small or however large. If there is a connection, if there's a correlation, if you think about somebody and then you run into them later and they say the thing that you think they're going to say, or you're thinking of something random and it shows up on the outside on a commercial or when you're out and about, doesn't matter. Start really paying attention to what you are feeling and then what is going on around you. Because what you're going to notice is that there's absolutely a lot of connection here. And once you start to document it, you're going to see more and more for yourself that you are in fact doing this. And a lot of these things, however small and random, things that you probably would have otherwise passed off or overlooked entirely, each time this happens, it is going to build your faith that much more. Another thing that you can do in this week period is to take note of what you have observed over the course of the past. Note the times where something happened when you were in a very similar state. Maybe you had full conviction that something was going to happen and it did. Note the times where you noticed that the law had definitely taken effect in the past for you and document those. This is how you're going to build your faith. This is how you're going to be able to actually see for yourself the experience of, I'm actually doing this. And it may be that the first dozen or so times you just chalk up to coincidence, but the more and more that you notice this, and the more you become aware of the connection between the internal world and the external world, there's not going to be much room for doubt. There won't be. You can only chalk something up to coincidence so many times before it becomes pretty obvious that this is actually happening. And one last thing that I really want to note is that sometimes it can be really challenging to pay attention to your thoughts. Our mind tends to be pretty rambly and random and incoherent sometimes. It is very easy to overlook things, and it's very easy to get distracted. One exercise that I absolutely recommend, it's not required, but I 100% recommend doing, is something like meditation. Spending 5 minutes a day in meditation, just sitting in silence, observing the breath, and just becoming aware of what comes to you is going to help you to be more and more alert and more observant as to what is going on in the contents of your mind. These 5 minutes a day are going to help you and really begin to bring it into focus so you can actually catch and see all of the things that you are actually entertaining. Because the truth is, we're on autopilot about 90% of the time. The conscious mind is functioning about 10% of the day, and the rest of the time we are operating on the subconscious mind. So a lot of the things that we're actually entertaining go completely under the radar, and we're not aware of them. And it's easy for us to forget when there's a connection between the internal and external. So for this reason, I want you to just pay close attention and just observe what is going on internally and what is going on externally. And anytime you see a connection, anytime something that you've observed on the inside shows up on the outside, no matter how big or small, I want you to document it. I want you to write it down or take a voice memo or whatever you have to do. Just make sure that you are documenting them. If you don't, you're likely to forget. And this will not be a very convincing exercise if you are forgetting the things that you are manifesting. And then come back to this in a week. Come back to all your notes and all of the things that you have observed after 1 week. And then if you want to keep going, you can make it 2 weeks and see how much more you observe. And then you want to keep this practice going as long as you can, because this is one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal, is the power of observation, is the power of awareness, and being aware of what we are actually dwelling on, what we are actually entertaining, because we might not even realize how much stuff we are actually processing and what we are actually giving our focus and attention to just on autopilot. So try this exercise. Be sure to document everything that you find. No need to try to do anything. Don't try to do anything. This is just observation, just to show you what you are already doing all of the time anyways. Because the more that you do this, the more that you become observant and aware of the connections and correlations between the inner world and the outer world, that is how you build your faith. And that is how you begin to truly embody anything that you want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will have links down below in the description to one-on-one coaching, my blog, my social channels, my podcast, my workshops, all that good stuff. Got a ton of resources for you, so don't forget to check it out. Also, do not forget to check out the other videos on this channel. Don't forget to check out my Manifestation Fundamentals playlist. Each video is a different topic, but it all goes into how to manifest the best life ever. So until we meet again, you guys, as always, please take care, be well, and never forget how powerful you truly are. Happy manifesting, guys.